Hello, everybody. This is episode 75 of our podcast, Intelligence and Cybersurgery. This is the official podcast of our journal, Artificial Intelligence Surgery, and our new society, Artificial Intelligence Organization for the Next Generation of Surgeons. So I will let my co-host, Dr. Vincent Grasso, introduce our next guest, who I know from the University of Magdeburg in Germany, where I'm also a professor. So Vincent, take it away.
Fantastic. Yeah. And it's, as you said, episode 75. It's amazing. Just seems like yesterday when we started. We have the pleasure of having on our podcast today Professor Ulf Dietrich Kahlert. He's a colleague of Andrew's in Magdeburg and is doing a lot of work in cancer research. He's a biologist. He comes from a family of physicians and engineers. So he has an interesting technology upbringing and clinical upbringing. So welcome to our podcast. And could you please introduce yourself to our audience? Thank you.
And remind
Yeah,
us
thank
where
you.
you come from, where in Germany, Ulf.
Right,
I'd
right.
love to hear that
First
first.
of all, thanks, Andrew and Vincent. Great to be here. And yeah, my name was introduced. I was born in the country that doesn't exist anymore, the former, GDR, east
Ah,
part of Germany.
okay.
And 35 years later, after the unification. Essentially 30 years later, I have returned after a tour of my education in the West, Freiburg, South Germany. Then I did a postdoctoral fellowship in Johns Hopkins in for 3 years, and then I was able to receive independent group funding to establish my academic independence in a department of neurosurgery in University Medical Center Düsseldorf. And I did a habilitation then in 2020 in November. And 6 months later, I received this professorship call in Magdeburg, where I am now, which is about 100 miles west of Berlin. 1.5 hours train ride, direct connection. And it's
Ulf,
essentially a very
Ulf,
central city.
what is habilitation? Because I think a lot of our American listeners won't know what that is. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a renaissance essentially from the old days. It's in classical disciplines still considered an important mark of academic growth. It's essentially um, a justification in front of the faculty that after the PhD or slash doctoral title, you have accumulated substantial further evidence that you are an respected academic scholar that comprises scientific output, but also teaching quality, teaching quantity. Yeah.
So it basically means that you could qualify as a professor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an old style. Medicine and law faculties, I believe, still value that a lot. Whereas in natural scientists, I believe it's not so relevant to receive a professorship call to still have this. But it's definitely it's good to have it, and yeah, it's also not so easy. Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to
yeah, definitely. How
fulfill a lot
old
of
were
regulation.
you? How old were you when the Berlin Wall fell?
Six years.
Wow. I guess you remember the moment.
No,
Not really?
I
Oh,
mean
wow.
I only know, so such things, what was before,
Yeah.
with the food, and there were some special shops, intershops, where you as a child could get Western, toys and so on, and you had to pay with Western money, so that was always very special when you go there at that time. Yeah, yeah. So these things is my memories are vague, but of course I'm socialized in the socio-economic developments after the wall fell. The whole system changed, and
Yeah.
this is essentially until now, it's a difference in our country in various aspects. So yeah, I grew up until I became 18 in the east part, and my parents had to change, find a new job.
Yeah.
primarily my father. My mother was a doctor, so but also there, the system changed completely and how the
Oh,
things
for sure.
developed. My brother is 6 years older, so this is definitely it has socialized me, and I'm a child of the East, definitely. Mhm.
Oh, interesting. And your field, I know you do a lot of work in cancer, but how would you mentioned neurosurgery earlier. What is your main field now?
Yeah, I'm in general surgery, and broadly speaking, I have the honor and the joy and also the obligation to bridge technology, fundamental research into making surgery or surgical care more sustainable, better. Yeah.
So this is
Um,
so this is interesting. So you're in the Department of Surgery. You do you work under Roland?
Yeah, the clinical director is Professor Roland Kroner,
Yeah.
and yeah, we have a partnership where his clinical insights are mirrored with the possibilities and the scientific concepts on my side. Yeah, so we have a translational
What?
a partnership established, and I'm in Magdeburg since 4 years, and I believe at least valuing the scientific output, also the acceleration of the output. I think this partnership goes pretty well. Yeah, and it's growing. One
Yeah.
part is the AI, definitely.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that in a minute, but it's interesting, Vincent, because in America, the surgeon is kind of expected, the academic surgeon's expected to be the PhD and run the lab at the same time, which, as we know in America, usually what happens is that person ends up either not being a very good surgeon or not being a very good researcher in the sense that it's impossible to do both really at a high level. Some people obviously who never sleep are able to do it, but it's a really unhealthy system. But it's interesting that Germany has kind of solved that. Are a lot of departments of surgery set up this way, Ulf, where they have a research director like yourself and a surgeon that kind of work in tandem?
First, short comment to your first summary. Professor Roland Kroner has also extensively worked in the lab, and he published at that time already very solid established cancer journals as first author. So essentially, it is expected, as you said, to have both in your CV successfully proven to become
Of course,
called as a director.
to have a
But
PhD there full
yeah,
time,
you know it
obviously,
better.
yeah, it makes it possible, is all I'm saying,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, the second part is absolutely, the research has become very fast, very technical driven, very complex in procedures. So you need a full-time staff taking care of that. And not only one, large clinics have several research professorships installed,
Wow.
so to be competitive. So, but if you have a good partnership and you have a specific focus, that is how success can be then driven. So it's common for large surgical clinics to have this partnership, definitely.
In America, again, Vincent, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really remember this type of partnership. It's such a beautiful thing and explains to me how blessed I am to be affiliated with Magdeburg because really, the quality of research that comes out of there and more importantly, as a surgeon, the quality of surgery is so high that it's really exciting. Magdeburg in particular interests me because I kind of like to think of Magdeburg as like a Silicon Valley of Germany and honestly, potentially of Europe, in the sense that, now correct me if I'm wrong, Tesla is between Magdeburg and Berlin.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's close to Berlin, but yeah, you can say it's in the periphery of our
What
microcosm.
what
Production
happened?
site.
What happened with, yeah, of course. What happened with the chip? Wasn't Intel going to build something in Magdeburg? Did that happen? Did that get stalled? What happened?
No, that is a sad outcome. Many people have been involved in, bridging this large partnership. I believe it was one of the largest investments that Germany would have given as, supporting such a settlement. I believe it was 10
50.
billion
It was
um,
the total project
given
was,
as a
yeah.
support for Texas. I'm not exactly one, but yeah, in the end, I think it was last year, the news came that the chip fabric production line is not going to happen. At least it's sustained for several years. This is, I think, the official news at the moment. It's not completely off the table. Yeah. So, but it's not as planned in the time schedule at the moment. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Okay.
unfortunately.
But
3,000 jobs were expected to come
yeah,
here.
yeah,
But that shows the possibility of this area. It was a Europe-wide competition, how where this place should be installed, and Magdeburg was chosen.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of time where when similar or not similar probably, but at least large-scale investments in this area come up again.
Yeah, yeah. So what's also what I like is that you, when I ask you what field you're in, you say surgery, which for me is so interesting to hear a PhD say that. I don't, I mean, you were at Johns Hopkins, for instance. Did you work in the surgery department, or did you work
No.
in what department did you work in?
That was pathology. So
Yeah,
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 strongly on cancer focus. Yeah, I mean, I give the answer also because I speak to you as a surgeon, and I really I did my habilitation also in the surgical clinic. I believe I have some expertise and also developed skills to maybe not certainly not the medical competence. I'm not a surgeon at all, but thinking about maybe sometimes pragmatic problem solving, also utilizing certain unique skills and infrastructural given things that a surgery has. Name it as the primary tumor samples or tissue samples and blood samples to exploit this in the lab, or planning of translational research studies, where always in context of oncology, at least most of the time, the surgeon is the key point of the curative intended care of a patient. So one can
yeah.
also, mediate between different clinical disciplines, such a study. So I think I have some skills in this set. So yeah, definitely I associate myself to surgery.
Definitely, definitely. No, I think I love it. It's a very good partnership and system that is created. Now, what how have you incorporated AI in what you do? Do you do radiomics, pathomics, genomics? What do you? I know you were working on organoids, I believe.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a question that is not so fast to answer. So please, short general comments is in our research, all um, involvement of human samples require obviously the study specific approval from our local ethical commission, and then the recruitment of each donor with an completed and actively ticked approval to involve in research study. And the second thing that such particular AI-driven projects require, and we take this very seriously, is that all data that is captured, emerged, and processed is in compliance with our German data protection law, GDPR-A, and that includes, the archiving and the short-term storage. So these are general comments. That is like a fundamental, given thing in our research, and we also consider the AI as it is a fast developing field, also relatively important for intellectual property development. So we operate usually on non-compete clauses for each project partner that we appoint to work in the project. Needless to say, the academic PIs. We have a common sense. We have an understanding. So we don't need to this. But this is an important point. We believe we want to protect such things in case an short-term employee leaves the project. Yeah, and briefly, it was introduced. My core expertise is biology and wet lab work. So for me, it's also an endeavor how to implement AI and how to learn AI. Yeah, I have more time than a clinical duty professor, so that's why I spent a significant amount of time in the last 2 years to understand, to learn, not by home training, by cooperating with people that really either educate themselves in the recent 5 or 6 years, or are really mathematician and computer scientists. So here again, bridging with a surgical flavor, particular clinical translational thinking with computational biology. And I can give some examples how we implemented it. Mostly we focused on um, utilizing skills on classical computational biology, so where we know how to evaluate omics data, mostly on the transcriptomics data. So we know how to handle larger data with the programming. But in the AI development and in the AI application, we focus on yeah implementing imaging data perioperatively and preparing solutions. So a concrete project, for instance, was
Yeah.
um, a project where we used a deep learning algorithm, vision transformer network, and this is originally from Google developed. There are different versions now available, and we modified this a little bit to to analyze histological sectioning data
Of
from
what
pancreatic
type
cancer
of
patients.
cancers were, what type of
Pancreatic
pathology?
cancer, pancreatic
Pancreatic
cancer.
cancer. Oh, interesting. Okay.
And these pancreatic cancer patients or these pancreatic organ diseased patients were later, obviously, after the operation, pathological diagnosed. So it's a retrospective study. We know the diagnosis. We have the high resolution HI imaging scans,
Yeah.
and we then extracted feature with this modified vision transformer network. Modified, what is modified? So we have 9 images. The standard vision transformer only goes one image, the next image, and the next image. We
Yeah.
modified to work 9 times in parallel. It's essentially like in a school. If you have one pupil sitting, you ask him the question, and then the next, and then the
Yeah.
next. You need nine
Like
times.
a very
We
small
did
quantum
parallel.
computer doing it all at once with just nine.
Yeah, a
Very
kind of
small.
our approach. We did
Yeah.
it in parallel, so the performance is faster. That was some sort of innovation we had, and it also can get, because these 9 images are not always the same. It could get some interdependent relationships to each other. So we also believed that the extraction of yeah features
Yeah.
is better through this modified vision transformer. And what was the outcome? We were able to establish a model based on this modified vision transformer that allows the prediction of the risk of this particular patient, cancer patient, pancreatic cancer patients, for its overall survival.
Now, did you have to compare? So you're looking at the histopathology, you're looking at
Mm.
two-dimensional, you're looking at the pixels, right?
Yeah, there
Uh,
are several features. There are, not only pixels. There's shading. There's pixel densitometry. There are plethora of
yeah, no, I get it, but I'm curious. So you're looking at pathology slides. Are you looking at the entire tumor? Are you also comparing it to normal pancreatic tissue, or are you just focused on the tumor itself, comparing other tumors to each other?
Yeah, we are at this moment focused on areas that are confirmed tumor. And of course, when you do a large scan, there's neighboring areas. We identified this with the model, but the main extraction of features is then focused on areas which we confirm as a tumor. Yeah, but the discrimination between tumor and non-tumor is an easy task because the
Yeah.
cells are different.
Yeah. Now, so you obviously have some experience with looking at with slides. So who would do the segmentation? Was it like a machine that was doing it autonomously and segmenting where the cancer is, or did somebody have to sit there and highlight the area of interest each time?
It was supported this project with pathologists. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So they did the segmentation. Okay. Very nice. You know, I was in Berlin actually at the European was United European Gastroenterology meeting, big meeting.
Yeah.
And this group in Spain, big group in Spain that does pathomics was explaining how that they found, much like what you found, is that the best omic currently to look at to predict pancreatic cancer, biology, if you will, is actually
Mm,
pathomic images, better than radiology images, better than analyzing radiomics. So it's interesting that you guys also have that capability. You may or may not know, but Magdeburg is part of the Ergos consortium, which I've created.
yeah.
It stands for Artificial Intelligence, Radiomics, Genomics, Oncopathomics, and Surgeomics. We have about 12 countries now: Turkey, Belgium, Serbia, Italy. Um, Believe it or not, I have to stay out of France because the regulations of France are too heavy. So a lot of the startups that I work with don't want me to work in France. But Germany, Poland, Japan, and we're also going to sign up and work with this other consortium in Spain.
Mhm.
Because as you were mentioning, one of the biggest and hardest things to do is to collect data, collect good data, and then
Mhm.
to be able to analyze it is easy actually, but to be able allowed to analyze it is the hard part, you know.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
the
Andrew,
legal
first of
part.
all, congratulations to creating this network. And, it's also a very important step for Magdeburg, for Department of Surgery, your activities and to bring us in this, forefront network. So, the
Yeah,
entire institution is thankful to you. And you are completely right. Important things in this field require good data sets.
yeah,
And you don't have time. You are doing the operations. I, in theory, should have time to also invest more on this, but as an academic professor, you have also tons of other duties, including
yeah,
the management of the project. But you don't have really resources given to you for just extracting data. I know the AI is doing this now. You can run the
yeah,
if it's ethically approved and everything, but still, to develop a curated and sorted meta database is a tedious task. But this is very important. And this is a focus now, what I put, because to make the bridge now to the biology, this is the main point I think is unique. We not only, like we are not a big AI lab, clearly not. We're doing our own projects. I think they are innovative, and with our resources, we publish in
yeah.
journals. I didn't mention, for instance, that the radiomic project that we published earlier this year in eLife.
Oh, nice.
Um, so things is okay, I think, and I'm relearning, and I believe in the future we have a very nice new project coming up where we have the results. But what I wanted to say is, believe now that we can combine the medical imaging or any medical record that is routinely recorded in the patient care with basic or with molecular data or even cell data. And here I wanted to highlight a study where my really core expertise come in. When we received the tumor tissue from Roland and colleagues,
Yeah.
we culture the cells. We culture them as organoids, and we're doing functional tests on that. A simple project for you to understand is we're doing the drug testing on that. Drug testing
Uh,
meaning we're focusing on neoadjuvant
yeah.
treatment regimes, that is, or adjuvant treatment regimes, that is a standard of care in Germany
Yeah.
for this given disease. And these are multi drugs, basically polychemo cocktail.
Yeah.
And often patients could not undergo the full cycle because of high toxicity. Can we identify in a fast forward mode using this, as you would call it, a biological avatar of the tumor, doing the physical drug testing, a monotherapy that is similar effective than the polychemo cocktail? And moreover, we also culturing from the R0 resection margin the non-cancer organoids. So we have some sort of an off-target quantification asset That could help us. And now the thing is, can we correlate this to imaging data and maybe then don't need this extensive culturing? Can we extrapolate, pixels that predict certain
Exactly. Yeah,
sensitivities?
yeah. No, this is music to my
That is
ears.
some plan we
This
have, and
this is music to my ears, and I look forward to getting uh, back to visit you guys because
yeah, that is too long time.
yeah,
We
I
haven't
know,
seen each other.
I know,
So
I know. Well,
we
as you
have an
know,
important meeting next year
yeah,
in September. It's the National Research Days of Surgery.
yeah,
All surgical disciplines under the umbrella of the German Surgical Society gathering here in Magdeburg.
yeah.
And needless to say, you are already strongly marked in giving us an update on Argus and so on here in
No, no,
Magdeburg.
it's yeah, Roland told me about it. I look forward to it. As you know, we also got the Compass AI grant to develop guidelines for the safe utilization of AI in healthcare. So I've been having meetings with some of the people you put into contact me at the grant office at Magdeburg. So thank you for your help with coordinating that. But we only have about 8 minutes left, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the innovation hub that is created at Magdeburg. Could you explain that site a little bit? That Stimulate, what it is, how people
Yeah.
can participate in it, what it's there for, and also,
Mhm.
if you could talk, if you we don't have much time, but a little bit about the grant that Beck won to develop, you know, a robotic device at the University of Magdeburg, with Roland Kroner. I think that would
Right.
be interesting.
Yeah, this research campus Stimulate is essentially existing, not exactly sure, but at least 10 years. And it's a private-public partnership. So from the Federal Ministry of Research, Technology and Space, um, this initiative funds the establishment of specific campi that have, I'm not sure about the fraction, but it's certainly a ratio coming from the ministry, so public funding, and a similar amount is given from an industry partner to work together on a goal, and the goal is, creating applications, company IP. So this is it's not a basic science direction. And yeah, the research campus Stimulate, headed by Professor Krone, is part of the Otto von Gerge University. It's embedded in the Faculty of Information and Electronics Technologies. Not sure if I translated this now correctly,
That's okay.
but yeah, and it has an own physical site,
Which is
and
beautiful. I love
so
the site. The flight site, it's down by the river. It's absolutely
yeah,
beautiful.
River Elbe, exactly. It's a former, industry harbor. Magdeburg was an important
Yeah.
trading city in the past.
Reminds me
Yeah,
of Brooklyn. That's why I like it a lot.
yeah, the buildings, right? The brick
Yeah.
buildings and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It's like a giant loft. It's very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so there, different activities are going on, including, mostly focused on medical device development, CT and MRIs, because,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, partly is it funding from the industry. It's Siemens Healthineers now. They split
Yeah.
it, the medical device several years ago
Magdeburg
from
has a
Siemens.
very strong radiology department, and in particular, if I remember correctly, MRIs. I mean, they. I think last time I was there, they had like a Tesla 37 or something like. Is that possible? I didn't even know that.
37,
It
not
was it
a
was like some
7
enormous.
Tesla.
What was like it was no, but it was an enormous number, like in a obviously a prototype. Not but they had like a prototype for a
Okay.
Tesla, like a very something that it sounded like science fiction, but the
Okay. Yeah,
radiology
I mean,
department
this
there
is
is
true.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, human scanners have in Tesla there. Then they produce, they have a spin-off company formed there for, pediatric patients in MRI, and a lot of imaging research, how to develop better imaging programs. Also for interventional procedures, local treatments with the CT. These things are going on, but I'm not an expert on this, what
Sure.
is going on. So it's hardware development, and it created essentially IP and outcome because there are companies formed in
So
this arena.
Stimulate is paid for by the university or by
Hey,
industry or by the local government or by all three.
I don't. I
Okay.
know that Stimulate is it's as I said, it's federal money, um, in and partly industry. So this is, I think, the basis of the funding and nothing else. Mm.
So Vincent, you've heard a lot about Magdeburg. Obviously Ulf and I know each other and we know a lot of details, but in the next 4 minutes or so, what do you what are you liking that you're hearing?
I like what you brought up. The one of our lamentations here is that our large departments, surgical departments, or even very large surgical groups don't have, I don't think, the right wherewithal, meaning they don't have an MBA, they don't have a PhD, they don't have a project manager, they don't have the formalities so that all those surgeries that are going on, nobody really is collecting data unless it's part of a formal trial. So you
Mm.
guys are way ahead over there. Collecting the metadata is really important and it's never collected at all here. So,
Mm.
that's
Yeah, it's
that's
also not done here. I mean, there's also a department on medical data science. I think it's going to be very, very good now. This professor was appointed in April, I think, or early summer this year. And so these are really experts. We're doing it with our capacities and
yeah. So
always on the basis of the ethical approval and the patient consent form. But just to answer one comment on Stimulate. Recently, there was, there's an innovation um, partnership established there with to develop a robotic um, um, surgery robot,
Surgical
or at
robot, yeah.
least some tools alongside a surgery robot to basically develop a better brain of such a surgery robot that could be utilized for intraoperative support systems, maybe even, understanding in which part of the surgery the surgeon is currently, and then later on maybe doing the simple task by themselves as a visionary thinking. As we know, gallbladder removal was done in the US at least on a pig, completely autonomously. So towards this direction, this innovation partnership is going on, and this is a project which is also an important project for our state of Saxony-Anhalt. Professor Roland Kroner is here, this clinical and scientific head behind this project. And it's a partnership with a company, an established company in Germany, SME from they established a site in Magdeburg several years, 1 year ago, and I believe 7 to 10 employees now already working here in Magdeburg on this. This is Beck robotics, that they have an expertise. They know how to approve robots in the market, and they have a subsidiary, Beck Medical, where they also have expertise in medical robots, mostly at the moment, I think for orthopedics. So, but
Yeah.
they know how these things work, and this is an exciting partnership. And
I think
yeah,
they
we
got
hope to contribute to this project.
something like 17 million euros, but I'm not sure about the number, but they got, two digits, that much I know, double digits. We have about a minute left. So Vincent, please close us out. Ulf, it was great to see you. We'll be in touch. I'll
Yeah, and
let you
everybody
know.
who wants to come to our meeting in September next year,
Yeah,
please contact us. Thank you.
yeah. I
thank
will,
you so
I'll
much.
Thanks
contact
for
you
the opportunity.
once our IRB gets approved for Ergos. It was submitted to the University of Ghent many months ago, but we're still waiting for it to get approved. But as soon as it does, I'll be in contact with you, Ulf. Vincent, you have about 30 seconds.
Thank you. So we're closing up episode 75 of our Artificial Intelligence and Cybersurgery podcast. Thank you, Professor Kahlert, for being our guest, and we'll follow up with you in Magdeburg.
Great. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Vincent, for the opportunity. Greetings to all. Tschüss.
Take care.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.